I would like to call the special meeting of the City Council to order.
I would like to call the special meeting of the Planning Commission to order.
City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Rodriguez,
Here.
Councilmember Rounds.
Here.
Councilmember Zamora,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sarno,
Here.
Mayor Martin,
Here.
Commissioner Flores,
Here.
Commissioner Jimenez, Commissioner Mora.
Here.
Vice Chair Ayala. He's running late. Chair Carbajal.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move to public comments. Public comments are now open. Anyone joining us through Zoom can use the raise hand function. If you wish to make a public comment on item number 4 only, the city clerk will see if you have raised your hand through the Zoom application. For those that are here to make a public comment in person, you'll have the opportunity once the city clerk announces your name. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Staff will respond to any questions after everyone in the public has an opportunity to speak. City Clerk, do we have any members of the public that wish to speak today?
Madam Mayor, we don't have any speakers.
Thank you. Then we will close public comment. Study session item number 4, a presentation by the city's consultant, MIG, to provide an update on the targeted zoning amendments, including the draft non-conforming, mixed use, and multifamily sections, and the certification of the 2021 through 2029 housing element. I would like to call on Director of Planning, Wayne Morrell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to bring forth my Assistant Director, Kwang Nguyen, please. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I believe it's been almost 6 months since the last study session on this topic. Tonight, we have a brief presentation from MIG to give both the City Council and the Planning Commission an update on the targeted zoning amendments, which includes the draft mixed use, the non-conforming provisions, as well as the multi-family sections. We also plan to provide you with a brief update on the certification of the city's housing element. But before I introduce our consultant, I just want to provide a quick recap of the events leading up to today. First, as you may already know, February 8th of 2022, the city adopted its general plan. It had been prior to that almost 30 years before the city had done a comprehensive general plan update. So in February of last year, you approved the 2040 general plan, including the EIR and the statement of overriding considerations. Over the last year, the project team has been working diligently with MIG to come up with the draft standards that is presented before you tonight. But similar to the general plan process, we do want to assure you that extensive outreach has occurred. Our general plan consultant will be detailing the various outreach within the presentation itself. MIG will also be providing you tonight with the next steps as we move forward to adoption of the various code amendments. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jose Rodriguez of MIG, who will be doing the presentation tonight. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Kwang. Madam Mayor, City Council members, Madam Chair and Planning Commission. As Kwang mentioned, my name is Jose Rodriguez and I'm the project manager for assisting the city in updating the zoning code requirements. And then some of you have remembered, I was also part of updating the general plan from last year. So we're at our 1-year anniversary from updating or adopting the general plan. So I want to give a presentation and go over where we're at with the zoning code amendments. And so we'll talk about, as Kwang mentioned, the new mixed use standards that we're preparing. We're making some adjustments to the multifamily standards, and I'll go over what those changes are. And then we're spending a lot of time with the non-conforming section, and I'll let these bodies know where we're at with those. And then I want to update on the housing element. I know you've adopted the housing element as part of the general plan from last year, but we're still working for getting that compliance from the state, from the Housing and Community Development Department. So I want to provide a status on that. And then our next steps, and then go through a series of questions with you to see if there's any further direction you want to provide for the zoning code. All right, so here's the update on the zoning code. as part of your packet, you should have received a copy of the mixed-use zoning districts that include 3 zones: mixed use, the mixed-use transit-oriented development zone, and then the downtown zone. Revised non-conforming situations, which I'll cover in a little bit more detail, but we're completely revising those. And this is again direction from the general plan from last year's general plan. And then one thing that's part of the housing element implementation is changes to the multifamily development standards, not only from the housing element, but changes we made to the land use element. We did increase the density and some of the heights for our multifamily section, again, for conformity with the land use plan, but also some requirements that the state and which was identified in the housing element. And as I mentioned, the housing element update, I'll give a status on that. And then the zoning map, we're also making sure that the zoning map is updated so that it's consistent with the general plan and the land use plan. So as Kwang mentioned, we have done, since we adopted the general plan from last year, a series of workshops and working groups to make sure that we're understanding both property owners, business groups, and residents. This is the changes we're making to the zoning code. What is community input? What do they think about some of these changes we're making? So we had a series of ZAG meetings, which is the zoning advisory group meetings. We've had 4 meetings thus far. The first one was back in June. We did have a community workshop in July of last year. We did reach out, the city mailed out notices to all property owners that were affected by the zoning changes and the land use changes, the maps that we changed from the land use plan that concurrently are being changed with the zoning. The city mailed out to every single property owner and had a workshop here in this room to make sure they understand the zoning changes, particularly the light industrial changes, the new mixed use standards. We wanted to hear from the community, particularly property owners, if they had any comments and what we wanted to make them aware of the zoning changes. We've had a joint study session with these 2 bodies in August of last year. And we've been also meeting with the business group. And as you recall, as part of the general plan update, we were working with the business group and there was a lot of study sessions about some of the non-conforming, some of the issues that they had, consternation about the changes to the light industrial. So we've been continuing to meet with them because they really want to make sure that they review the non-conforming sections, which affects those properties where we made land use and zoning changes. And then we met with the ZAG, the zoning advisory group earlier this month as well. So again, why are we making these changes? So for some of you that are new, both planning commissioners and city council members, the zoning changes are requirements based off the general plan changes we've made. So we want to make sure that there's consistency. The land use plan provides the long-term policy. The zoning provides the roadmap, that kind of more detailed, I shouldn't say instructions, but requirements on properties, setbacks, heights, and so forth. So we want to make sure those documents are consistent. The city adopted the housing element, which has a lot of state law housing, a lot of housing laws that had to be addressed both in the land use, but also now in the zoning code. If you recall, we had to accommodate at least 952 new housing units as part of the housing element, and it was consistent in the land use plan. But part of the changes we're also making to the zoning code is modernizing it on certain sections where we're making those changes, as opposed to just updating the text. We're kind of looking at it a little bit broader and making sure that we're modernizing, creating new use tables, because the zoning code was last updated comprehensively back in the 1960s. So it is a little bit outdated. So there are certain sections where we're going to go ahead and update, where if you saw the sections where we're trying to clean it up and add new uses, again, for consistency with law, but also just the modern trends of new development and uses that come in. All right, I'm going to provide a quick overview of the mixed use zones. These are the areas where we identified in the land use plan the changes. And there's 3 areas. The northern area along Washington, where there's a proposed metro light rail station coming in I shouldn't say a few years, but coming in the future. We don't know when. But part of and other cities as well are doing is planning for that station when and if it does come. And so we looked at mixed use along that area. The city identified wanting a downtown for Santa Fe Springs. So we created a downtown district, but it does create flexibility for existing uses. And then we also looked at mixed use along Telegraph and a property, the vacant property that does have some oil wells. We looked at mixed use again for flexibility. And then all the way in the southern, I shouldn't say southern, but kind of along Imperial Highway, where the existing Metrolink station is located, we did identify mixed use there as well. For the mixed use zone districts, we included, again, this is the city does not have any existing mixed use zones. And so we've added all the typical and required areas to address new standards, from what the purpose of the district is, development standards, the outdoor landscaping requirements. And since it's a mixed use section, we're now including pedestrian oriented standards, building entries, architectural standards, and some streetscape requirements. So all those are included in the mixed use zones. I'm not going to read this, but this is what some of the text is starting to look like. You've seen the examples of the text included in your packet, but these are what the purpose and intent of each zone does. There's a series of new tables that identify the uses, and then what's allowed or permitted, what's allowed by a conditional use permit, and what's prohibited. With mixed use, we also include not only just residential, but commercial uses, and then a series of development standards as well in terms of minimum lot sizes, building heights, and so forth. Multifamily zone. So we did make some changes to the existing R3 zone. This is what the city had previously. Let me go back. The R4 is actually a new zone, and I'll talk about that real briefly. But the R3, again, these changes to the R3 and creating a new R4 zone, again, it was consistent on the changes we made to the general plan. So real quick, why did we change? Looking at this table, so you can see how the use tables are kind of identified in a text format. And you'll see if you look through the zoning code, it shows an update back in the 1960s. But there was some updates in the 2017 per state law, but comprehensively hasn't been updated in quite some time. The R3 zone is the lighter yellow or darker yellow, and that's an existing zone that's already in the city. What the city has done is allowed the density to increase. Originally allowed up to 21 dwelling units per acre. We did go up to 25 dwelling units per acre. And previously, this applicants were allowed to go up to 25 dwelling units per acre with special permitting that they had to do. And the city felt like going up to 25 dwelling units per acre allowed for that special certain type of housing to come in. Some of them were the 3-story townhouse type, and it provided some flexibility that we put into the standards for new housing to come in, and some of it required by the state and the housing element. And again, this is consistent with the land use plan. So those are the land use, the medium density designation. Again, we put it 25 dwelling units per acre. And so we've adjusted the R3 so that it's consistent. Now there's a new R4 zone, but you can see there's not much of it in the city. The only area that you'll see the R4 zone is at the very northern part. There's an existing an apartment building that's there. And so what the R4 zone does is allow for that higher density. And then we've created it in the event that the city down the road would like to increase an R4 if there is a need for it further down the road. But we also created the R4 zone, which was the high density residential in the land use plan, because it included areas in the specific, the sphere of influence. The areas that the city doesn't control, it's under the county. But general plan law requires to update the land use plan. So we created the higher density designation to account for the areas in the county, because they already had higher density development in the county. So we did go ahead and create the R4 in the zoning in the event the city would like to use it, but there are no sites that are that don't have existing development for the R4 zone. Yeah. There are, for lot sizes, there are minimum requirements for it, right? What are the minimum requirements? Let me look that up and then I'll provide that what is, Martin Huang's helping me out here, a minimum of 20,000 square foot lots. I think I had it coming up on one of the slides here. So just real quick, the R3 zone provides a density from 9 to 25 dwelling units per acre, 3-story heights or 40 feet. And then the R4 zone, 25 to 40 dwelling units per acre, 4 stories at 55 feet. Both zones do have new standards in the zone that does require reducing building heights or setbacks if you're adjacent to a single family R1 zone. So create a little bit of that privacy and buffers for existing single family neighborhoods. Like the mixed use section, we include similar sections that address the various standards for residential development. And then again, we had updated use tables. We have new uses again that reflect some of the state law requirements within the use tables. And so rather than having the single lines for each use, we have now tables with also specific regulations that are elsewhere in the code. There's reference tables as well too in the use table. Oops. And then also development standards. And this is where I think the 20,000 square foot minimum lot size is located, but I don't see it. It's okay. There it is. I think I need new glasses. Okay. All right. So now the last major section update to the zoning code is the non-conforming. We're calling it the non-conforming situations section. And so just real brief, what non-conforming means is that when you have a property or a use or development standards that were legally established, and maybe 20 years ago, a property came in and developed a building and brought in a use, and it met all of the requirements of the zoning code back when it was developed. But then subsequently, new state laws come in, or there's new direction from City Council and Planning Commission, and we change the land use plan or we change the zoning, the non-conforming section applies. And so those are legally uses and they're allowed to continue operation, but then they become non-conforming, or we typically called grandfathered in, and they're allowed to stay. But as part of the general plan program, we did make the non-conforming section a little create more flexibility for existing businesses and light industrial uses, actually any existing use that has a change. So why did we make these changes? One, it was part of the general plan update. So if many of you recall, there was push for making some flexibility for property owners. We wanted to make sure that we took advantage of, I shouldn't say take advantage, but we make sure that the context of businesses coming in and putting in investments into their property. We want to make sure that the changes that we made now don't affect that, and that they are still legally allowed to continue. So again, recognizing the investments. But we also, again, recognizing that the text was a little bit outdated. So we wanted to modernize it and update it to make the text and the language and regulations a little bit more easier for both the planning staff, property owners, business users to kind of understand. And then lastly, provide options for property owners in the event that there were some disasters or accidents that happen that destroy part of the property or building. Non-conforming does affect if you have something that happens to a building and it partially gets damaged, maybe through an earthquake or whatnot, any national or natural disasters. There are provisions that allow to rebuild back to the original standards when it was legally approved, and there's some measurements on how to do that. So the new approach that we're taking is taking non-conforming and breaking it up into 3 sections. The 3 sections are the lots. So as Mayor Pro Tem Sarno said, what's the minimum lot size? Well, the minimum lot size then could be different than what it is now. So if it was established, or if the lot sizes were different back then, and the new laws affect the lot sizes, they can become non-conforming lots. So the lots are one part of non-conforming. Then you have the development conditions, building setbacks, heights. Those can also all change. And then lastly, you have the uses. what use, what type of operation is occurring inside the building. That could also become non-conforming. So now that we kind of organize the non-conforming section to clearly state the 3 different types of situations, so that it's again more clear to understand which non-conforming part the property owner or the business needs to address. So again, it's again meant to be more clearer for both city staff and the user and the property owner. City staff and the consultant team has been working with the zoning advisory group, but also a series of business groups that or business owners and persons representing different businesses. And so we've presented not only the non-conforming to the ZAG, but we also did it to the business working group. I think we're calling them the business working group. And they were instrumental in also making sure that non-conforming was going to be addressed in the general plan. So the city has been working back and forth with them for minor clarifications. They've had their a series of attorneys look at the text. And so we've been kind of going back and forth. Major changes were made in December 2022. They made recommendations. City staff is looking at them and taking some of their suggestions, not all of them. So we're kind of negotiating back and forth. Key things were minor text changes for clarification that the business group wanted. Again, as I talked about, the damage of building, if that occurs, how much of it gets rebuilt, and when how that occurs. If there's expansion that's wanted, you know, if an existing business owner has a building and they want to expand, but it's non-conforming, how can that take place? And then lastly, who can they appeal to if city staff or planning commission deny some of their improvement or permitting? And then recently we did have another round of changes from also the business working group. We just received it a couple of weeks ago, and city staff are still going through some of those changes. I know one particular property representative has also brought in some particular changes that affects his property that's under the mixed use section. So city staff again is working closely with the business group and trying to iron out some of these changes in the text, and we're hoping to work those out when we present the adopted version in a couple of months. And what the city's trying to do is at least trying to compromise to see where there's a little bit of give and where the city is drawing the line on certain standards. The last section I want to cover is the housing element. And as I mentioned, the housing element was adopted by the Planning Commission and City Council in February of 2022. It was sent back to the state for compliance. And I think we're now on the 3rd round. The first round was obviously sent back in 2021. Towards the end of last year, a second round was submitted, and we've met with the state. They sent a revised letter indicating that there's still some issues that they're having. And so we're trying to address those. We met with the state back in January earlier this year to review some of those comments. And so we're working with staff to kind of finalize those final comments and resubmit the 3rd round of the housing element for compliance, for state compliance. We do recognize that there are many cities in Southern California within the SCAG region that still haven't received compliance. This is a really tough round that we're struggling with. Some other cities are a little bit easier. Some of them are struggling a little bit, and it depends on what the requirements are from the state. But there were a lot of state new laws over the last couple of years, and so the state's really holding their line. Again, making sure that everything is addressed in state law in this new housing element. So we think we'll be successful in this next round. We've met and addressed all of the comments in the housing element and their letter. And so we think we'll be successful on the 3rd try. We're not looking to hopefully strike out, but we've been working with them closely.
How many comments have you guys had to fix then? And what are the new state laws that you guys have to,
The state laws are still, we're not adding, there's no state laws from 2023. We're still addressing the state laws from 2021. Well, all the state laws that happened from the last housing element, which was last adopted in 2014. So any of the state law changes from 2014 to 2021 are still being addressed, but really the key sticking points is the affirmatively furthering fair housing. We've added probably about 30 pages of the housing element just to address that. And they're really looking for strict, I shouldn't say strict, but really actionable items that the city has to do to address fair housing. And that could be addressing if there's any concentration of overcrowding, where there are issues of fair housing that we've identified in the housing element. They want to make sure there's an action items, and we've had probably about 3 pages of action items on how to address some of those issues, but the state unfortunately wants to make sure that they're addressed kind of to their liking. And so that's where we're at. We're trying to address some of these last sections on the fair housing issues. So those are the key things that we're trying to address right now. All right, as you can see on the screen, actually, I apologize, the colors are a little light on the, but I'll kind of walk through it. So in February, we did have a ZAG meeting earlier this month, and then today we're having the joint study session to go over the changes that we're making. And then our goal, working with staff, is to submit the housing element back by the end of February of this month. So we got about a week. We're just wrapping up making final changes now. In February and March, we like to have another business group meeting to go over the changes that we've recently received from the business group and some property owners. The city's, again, still reviewing those and like to work with the business group to make those final changes. And then we like to, at that point, finalize the text. So any comments that you have the draft text, but we'll bring you the final text. As you can see, we're still making final adjustments, but if there's any comments that you can make during this meeting or subsequently, if you want to give it to staff and say you've seen the draft text, staff is still taking in public comments. And then in April and May, as you do know, that there is another firm that's helping preparing the development of the objective development standards. And so we will be working with them to do another workshop. So just for you to understand, there are also a set of changes. The city is looking for objective design standards, and this is also another state requirement, again, to make housing a little bit easier to build. If you meet these objective design standards, then it takes a round of review from the city, as long as the applicant meets the objective design standards. So the city is developing those with another firm, and we'll be having MIG and the other firm will be having a workshop again to get the public word out. We're updating the zoning, but also objective design standards. So there's a workshop that's anticipated in April. I think early April is when that workshop will take place. I think after that, either late April or early May, we'll bring the final standards both to the Planning Commission first and then to the City Council. And then typically for City Council on ordinance changes, it does require 2 readings, first and second reading of ordinance updates. And then May and June is when the objective design standards will probably look for adoption or public hearings. And so that's our goal for upcoming meetings. As you can see, we're kind of wrapping up both the zoning updates and zoning revisions. All right, so with that, we wanted to bring up a couple of discussion items with both bodies here today to get a little bit of direction and feedback that the city staff felt like would probably be good to bring up, as opposed to bringing them up during the public hearing process. And so one thing that's definitely recognizing development and real estate interest are drive-throughs. And you do know that drive-throughs are very popular, but we've created these mixed use zoning standards, again, to be, we did allow for some flexibility, but they're meant to be to create these kind of pedestrian little nodes where you can walk to transit, whether it's existing transit or future transit. So right now, we have only allowed drive-throughs through a CUP in the mixed use zone. So the mixed use zone is allowed along Telegraph, and then there's a little bit of mixed use along Washington. Keep in mind, all drive-throughs currently do require CUPs. But that we did prohibit drive-throughs within the downtown and then within the TOD areas, which are anticipated to be right at least near those stations, either proposed or existing. So one question we had for these two bodies is whether we've kind of proposed the right in terms of the CUP and prohibiting drive-throughs, or if there's any discussion or comments from the City Council and Planning Commission. Let me go through each of the questions and then if anyone wants to respond afterwards, and then I'll entertain any questions or comments afterwards as well. The next one is the parking, and I believe we talked about parking at the last study session. And we think this again provides flexibility because parking always tends to be one of the most expensive items for new development. We are allowing for what we called off-site parking. So if you have a development and you're able to acquire parking within 600 feet of your existing development, that's allowed, as opposed to requiring parking all at one site. So again, that's to provide flexibility. I think we moved that number around a little bit from 500 to 600 feet was one of the changes we've made. And that's a typical number, and that number can change. But then also shared parking for mixed use, and that's also typical, is having one parking facility that's shared for multiple businesses. And again, similar to the off-street, off-parking site as well. So those are some approaches we put to provide flexibility for parking in the mixed-use sections.
On your parking, are there going to be permitted parking, especially with, if you're saying as long as they're 600 feet, but if we're going to have the station itself, people are probably going to want to park there. And so maybe just permitted parking around those areas probably be a lot better because it just works out for those individuals who live there.
Let me make sure I understand. So permitted parking for the parking that's on the site where the uses are at?
Yeah, around there. Because there's going to be a new site going up. I know I'm pointing at it right here, but you guys can't see it. It's on the Washington Boulevard, flexing out into Broadway. You're going to have the Christian Pits. We're going to have that 44 unit. But if you notice, one of my other questions is going to be, if you notice that area, the streets itself, if you go down there at night, there's a lot of vehicles around there. So if we add another establishment, we just want to make sure that there's proper parking, because if not, those who live there, it's just going to make it very difficult for them. And also, one of my other questions is probably going to pertain to planning is those streets. What are we doing with the county themselves? Because some of those roads, we own half, and then the county owns the other half, and those roads are horrible. And then there's a lot of homeless congestion in that area, especially by the Bank of America in the back, and in some of those lots. So we're going to be creating a development, but yet the development itself, the area is a major eyesore. So I hope you guys come back to us and let us know, not a year later, but let us know what's happening now. What you guys are doing, either mirroring what's going on with the county, or what are you guys doing working with the county to actually, get some of their funding source or their monies for these roads and other, construction.
Right. No, good comments. Going back to the parking. So the intent of the parking is not to lower any of the parking standards. So even if it's off-site, it still would have parking requirements. I do want to say that there are new state laws that does affect minimum parking requirements adjacent, or I think within within a 1/2 mile of a quality transit station. Cities can no longer provide minimum parking standards. So that does affect the Metrolink station. But since there's no high quality transit station currently now on Washington, I think staff's intent is to make sure that there's enough parking. And obviously when you put in parking permits later on, usually you do that later if you find that there's parking issues, and you want to make sure you preserve parking for whether it's any type of residential development. You'd want to probably have, if the development is impacting parking in the neighborhood, you'll want to have parking permits. But I think the intent for some of the new development up there is to make sure that there's enough parking to provide for those uses.
But not only that, it's better to be proactive than reactive too. So if you guys can look into that.
All right, we'll take those comments in.
Do you already have specific sites in mind for those parking locations?
No. The parking, the off-street parking and the shared parking, again, are tools that a developer could utilize to provide flexibility. They still will have to provide parking for their uses, for their, if there's, residential development. And so they could still provide parking for, maybe the residential on site, but if it's a mixed use, and maybe there's a shared parking, maybe with an adjacent property, or maybe just for the commercial component. So again, it's to provide flexibility, but it's not to identify this is where parking is going to go for public parking. Again, mostly what we're talking about is the private parking for the development itself that the development would demand. The area I'm talking about, well, there's three areas. There's the Washington area, which is primarily mixed use. There is an R4 of existing development of apartments that are just to the south. And there are a little bit of a higher density development just to the south of there as well. So that area does probably have some parking impacts, usually with higher density development. But I think the goal of the mixed use area is, again, to provide the parking for the residents that do get developed in the mixed use area.
I had a question on the drive-throughs. Have there been any other requests on the drive-throughs other than the Telegraph Road and the places that we had already specified? Have other restaurants or anything else requested them that we don't want to give them?
I'm going to let staff answer that question.
That development itself, where they're doing the housing for the homeless veterans of 44 units, they were actually looking at doing 2 drive-throughs, and then it turned into something better for us,
Yeah, and so to answer your question, Councilmember Rodriguez, staff has received inquiry in one of our mixed-use TOD zones for a drive-through restaurant. And so the question that we have before you in regards to drive-through uses is, do you want to open it up above and beyond what is currently stated in our draft ordinance, which is basically just mixed use, to possibly other mixed use areas? But yes, there is a request on the table for a location within the mixed use TOD area.
And another thing too, we could always open it up case by case. So we don't have to open it up. We can deal with each one case by case, which is probably the best thing to do for all of, in general, because now we get to dictate what's actually coming in there. Because they may say, hey, we're going to bring in, a Farmer Brothers, and Farmer Brothers was down the street because that's what was actually being asked. So now imagine, why do we want 2 locations that actually have the same thing? So case by case is always probably better when it comes to actually arena. That's just my suggestion.
I do also want to provide some clarity to the shared parking questions. As proposed, we're opening it up to 600 feet within the subject property. Just to point out, the current code actually already allows one to go up to 400 feet. So this is just providing the flexibility for mixed use areas to go a little bit further than our standard code requirements. And that's mainly because they're usually types of areas where, people will park in one area and actually patronize an adjacent property.
And I have a question on that said property that we're talking about on Washington, where the homeless vets are going to be, and then we have the underground parking that was proposed on there. But then the mixed use in front, as it is, the way it is now, there's hardly any parking spaces, and then they park in the back, which of course is not going to be there. So then you get the aspect of the off-site parking, off-street. And again, where it's already bad now because you have the apartment complexes across the street. Where are we gonna put them? Where would a shared parking be?
Right. So I guess a good example would be, and maybe entering into an agreement with a commercial shopping center or another type of use nearby that their typical operating hours are only during the daytime, and at the night hours where restaurants tend to have a higher capacity, more demand. That's the type of cross agreements that we're looking at in terms of shared parking.
And I think
Juan-
just, oh, go ahead, Juanita.
I think the main concern, I think if you hear across the board for everybody in that area is parking. They're already having so many issues. We get Whittier PD, we hear how much crime is in that area, how much robbery, how much petty theft is. Us adding more is only gonna make it worse. How is that bettering us? Yes, we are bringing the veterans housing there, but what happened to everybody else that's in all the apartments? It's just gonna make it worse. If
I
we have
can
a
answer that,
business,
Jose. So I know there's concern about parking, especially for that particular project. But what we, I guess, should understand, so it's a 44 unit, it's 100% affordable, but under SB 35, really, we do not have an option because it's 100% affordable. They do not need to provide any amount of parking. We did get some parking from them, but that is just because we worked with them. But you have to understand that the way the state laws are currently written, especially the need and the desire for affordable housing, it really restricts our ability to even require parking spaces. So for that project, yes, it is for veterans. It'll help us with our RENA numbers, but we really do not have the ability to say, provide 2 parking space per unit or 1 parking space per unit. It's essentially what they're willing to give or what we can negotiate with them. But our ability, the planning commission's ability, your ability to require parking, it really doesn't exist.
Well, we can't require parking on the premise, but on, like Councilman Zamora was saying, when we do permit parking on the street, that would limit people to wanting to park there, but it would help with the parking situation because especially overnight parking. So if we do a permit, some type of permit parking for that development, it would help all the way around because then people would have to come in and get a permit for the.
Councilmember Sarno, that is something to consider. That's outside of the scope of what's being discussed tonight, the permit parking issue. Really, this is a land use issue and
Well, no, he bring it up because he said 600 feet away from the.
but that's for, so I think, Jose, if you want to go back to that 600 feet, just as a reminder to the council and the commission, we're not talking about a specific project that was just brought up as an example. We're talking about a rule and what to allow.
Yeah.
Jose, if you can go through that 600 feet requirement again and focus on that question. Maybe that would.
Yeah,
But
just,
that does include, that 600 feet does include street parking, correct? Am I wrong?
no, this would all be private
All
parking.
private, so no street parking.
No.
Okay.
No, so I guess a good example would be, and this is one that's near where I live. Say that the city was pursuing a series of restaurants, a food court or a food hall, for example. But the site that they're locating just doesn't meet enough parking. So what they've done is looked at a site that's across the street in a different, it could be a church, it could be like an office building that has, they close up at 5 o'clock, so the parking becomes available. Again, we're not saying that all developments are going to require that. This will be reviewed by city staff, but it provides a little bit of flexibility in the event that provides some parking flexibility. In the case, it may not be all development. They may have enough room to put the parking on there, but again, it's to provide a little bit of flexibility. We're not talking about 600 street parking. But if they make an agreement with, let's say, the Heritage corporate shop development, there's a lot of offices there. But what if a new food hall came in but didn't have enough parking? And then they have a shared parking agreement with some of the office buildings that are there, where we know in the evening, the parking is less. And that they have to make sure they meet their parking requirements through that shared parking agreement, so long as it's within 600 feet of that development that's being built. So it gives that flexibility to have the uses that the city is looking for while still meeting their parking standards if they have a smaller lot where they couldn't meet their parking standards previously. It provides that flexibility. Is that?
So based on what you and Wayne just said, we currently allow this already. We allow it up to 400 feet. Is the council and the commission okay with allowing it up to 600 feet to provide developers with more flexibility on meeting parking requirements? It's a change from 400 to 600. Can we get some direction on that?
Yeah, I'm okay, but we're just, specifying. The only reason why I'm bringing it up about the parking, I'm just looking outside the box, because if you notice down the street from Cherry's Donuts, look at that compound where everybody's struggling for parking, and that's the only reason why I'm bringing it up. I just want to make sure we're looking at that, because we have to look at the outside barrier of 600 feet, even though we're only talking about currently required parking within 600 feet, but it's just, I'd rather talk about it now. So you guys are looking at it now instead of us coming back to it, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now. And this is something we have to do, or the next council needs to do.
Noted. Thanks.
I'm okay with the 600 feet.
You need a motion
Yeah.
or just,
No, just we're looking for individual comments, and you could provide comments after this meeting to staff as well separately.
Ideally, we get some consensus so we know what we're moving
Yeah.
forward on.
I'm okay with 600 feet.
yes,
We're okay. I'm okay
Planning
with
to-
that.
perfect.
It would be helpful a little bit with the. No. Going back to the drive-throughs. If there's any consensus on how we allow or how we propose the parking standard, or sorry, I got parking all over. How we propose the drive-through standards now. So right now, in all commercial zones, drive-throughs are allowed through conditional use permit. For the mixed use, we've prohibited drive-throughs within the downtown and the TOD zones. But we still allow drive-throughs as a CUP, allowed through a CUP in the mixed use zones. So there are a few areas that those are allowed. Is there consensus?
I'm okay, but with case by case, because then at least it gives us a little more control of what is actually going to go in there.
So can you clarify what you mean by case? Because right now,
Like one business who wants to bring in,
so right now it is case by case only for the mixed use zone. How about the TOD and the downtown zone? Right now, those are no parking, no drive-throughs with.
I think it's okay across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Each individual business is gonna maybe bring something that we want in that area, and we're not gonna shy it away because it's not allowed as a
Right.
drive-through right now. So I think, having it come back to the planning commission.
As a case by
as a
case.
Yeah.
By case.
So for all three zones,
Yes.
it's
Yes,
case
case
across
by
the board.
case.
Yes, sir. I agree
being
with
nods
you.
all the way across. Okay,
Because
good.
especially we're getting a lot of companies that are coming from out of state and they're bringing their product over here. So it's always good to
And that would
either.
help with parking because
They
it's
don't
a
have the park
drive-through,
there.
less
Yeah.
cars are gonna park, so they're gonna.
Well, I think a lot of the businesses now, if you don't provide a drive-through, they're not even gonna look at your city for anything. So why are we gonna shy away from businesses?
Yeah,
That's correct.
Jose or Kwang, could you at least, I don't think we explained the rationale. I know that council has already given their feedback on it, but it's important to know the areas and the rationale for it.
Right.
It probably won't change anybody's mind, but I think we owe them an explanation.
Right, just to further clarify, I think Jose mentioned this earlier, but typically speaking, in a pedestrian-friendly environment, whether it's a downtown area or near a transit stop, those are the areas where typically you do not want a vehicle to dominate traffic. You want it to be actually dominated by pedestrian traffic. So that is part of the reason and the justification to not typically allow drive-throughs in those areas.
So do you want us to amend it and say case by case, except in the circumstances that you just brought up? We can do that?
No, they're just automatically case by
But
case.
he's
across the
just
board.
talking about the transit area.
No,
Yeah, but the
across the
transit area
board.
is for future development of where
Yeah.
there's gonna be
And
a
when is that gonna
station
be?
or mixed use of housing and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I think
Case by case, and
Across the
Yes.
board.
it has to be case by
Yeah.
case and then we'll see
Regardless.
that future development.
I mean, because
to it.
reality, yes, we're looking for a transit, but when is that going to be? In 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, the way things are going? We can't promise anything in next year. So case by case across the board. Exactly.
Is gonna be there, yeah.
Yeah.
So though it seems good in reality, yes, it has to be case by case.
To the mayor's point, businesses they're not even looking at a
No.
city. They're not allowing that. You have restaurants that didn't have drive-throughs before, like Chipotle, who are
Yeah.
now requiring a drive-through.
Very true. Yep.
Any other final comments? And I know you haven't had a chance to read.
Jose,
Yes.
so I heard a couple different things. I heard case by case and I heard all across the board. It cannot be both.
Well, I think the CUP requirement is going to be there for all drive-throughs. So that's the case by case, but a CUP, so instead of saying prohibited in the downtown and TOD, it'll now say CUP, CUP, CUP for all three zones. So that's the direction I'm hearing. Any other final comments in terms of scheduling meetings, any other zoning regulations, topic areas? I know you have a meeting coming up next, but anything else you wanted to talk about before, or any other questions to bring up? Oh, Kwong wants to clarify something real quick.
Not sure if Jose mentioned this, but I do want to clarify that once HCD reviews our third round revisions, it's likely that they'll give us a condition of approval, and we actually need to go back to the city council to re-adopt our housing element because of the substantial changes that we're making.
That's fine.
Wanted to let
Yeah.
you know that.
And those changes will still be consistent with the land use element. All the sites that we've identified are still there. We did move some of them in and out for income reasons and for the state looking for some of those housing sites to be a little bit easier to build housing in the future. So I want to make you guys aware of that.
Perfect. So does council or planning have any other comments, questions? No? Hearing none, I would like to adjourn the city council meeting.
And I would like to adjourn the planning commission meeting.
Thank you.
I would like to call the regular meetings of the Public Finance Authority, Water Utility Authority, Housing Successor Agency, and City Council to order. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Rodriguez,
Here.
Councilmember Rounds,
Here?
Councilmember Zamora,
here,
Mayor Pro Tem Sarno,
Here.
Mayor Martin.
Here.
And I would like to add that members of the Public Financing Authority and Water Utility Authority receive $150 for their attendance at these meetings. Thank you.
Thanks, Janet. The city of San Fe Springs will allow for an invocation to be offered at city council meetings, and it's open to any faith, religion, or voluntary basis. Invocational speakers shall be limited to 1 minute or so. I'd like to call upon Cindy Jarvis to lead today's invocation. Please stand.
John 14:2. There are many rooms in my Father's house. I'm going there to prepare a place for you. Rest on this earth is a false rest. Beware of those who urge you to find happiness here. You won't find it. Guard against the false physicians who promise that joy is only a diet away, a marriage away, a job away, or a transfer away. Try this. Imagine a perfect world. Whatever that means to you, imagine it. Does that mean peace? Then envision absolute tranquility. Does a perfect world imply joy? Then create your highest happiness. Will a perfect world have love? If so, ponder a place where love has no bounds. Whatever heaven means to you, imagine it. Get it firmly fixed in your mind, and then smile as the Father reminds you, no one has ever imagined what God has prepared for those who love him. Please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, may your presence be with us this evening. Guide this council and decisions, and may your light continue to shine in this community. We give you the glory for what is to come. Amen.
I would like to call upon the Youth Leadership Committee to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Youth Leadership, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Valerie Bojorquez and I attend Santa Fe High School.
Hi, my name is Jaylene Casillas and I attend Santa Fe High School.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Doss. I am currently the secretary of the Youth Leadership Committee and I attend Santa Fe High School.
Hi, my name is Juliana Casillas and I am currently the vice chairperson in the Youth Leadership Committee and I also attend Santa Fe High School.
Hi, my name is Giselle Morales and I also attend Santa Fe High School.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aaron Doss. I currently attend Santa Fe High School as a senior, and I am here on behalf of the Youth Leadership Committee. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be seeing you guys a little bit later. As we're starting to do, we are highlighting some of the chamber members here in our city and what their business is about. Tonight, I will be calling upon Diego De Lama, owner of State Farm Insurance. Diego, please stand. State Farm Insurance is a large group of mutual insurance companies throughout the United States with corporate headquarters in Bloomington, Illinois, founded in 1922. State Farm is the largest property and casualty insurance and auto insurance provider in the United States. And we are very lucky to have Diego De Lama, owner of State Farm Insurance. So if any of you guys are interested in insurance, please see chamber members, and that is Diego. Thank you so much. If anyone is interested in making a public comment on agenda items, please fill out a public comment card located in the back of the council chamber and hand it to the city clerk. For those joining us via Zoom, if you are interested in speaking on any agenda item, please raise your hand when the item is called. The city clerk will see if you have raised your hand through the Zoom application or submitted a card before the item is voted upon. Any public comment not related to an agenda item will be heard under item number 16 on the agenda. Thank you. Item number 6, Public Financing Authority agenda. We have 2 consent items. Is there a motion for the approval of item 9, number 6A and 6B?
I'll move 6A and B.
I second.
We have a motion by Zamora, second by Rodriguez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Item number 7, Water Utility Authority agenda. We have 3 consent items. Is there a motion for the approval of items number 7A through 7C?
I'll move.
Second.
There's a motion by Round, second by Sarno. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Item number 8, amendment number 1 to water delivery agreement between the cities of Whittier and Santa Fe Springs Utility Authorities and Public Works. I would like to call upon Interim Director of Public Works, Yvette Kieran.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. This is the item of new business related to the First Amendment to the water delivery agreement between the cities of Whittier and Santa Fe Springs Utility Authorities. Back in January of 2018, the Santa Fe Springs Water Authority entered into a 5-year agreement with the City of Whittier Utility Authority. This had an option to renew for 2 terms of 5 years in length for water delivery between the 2 cities. Amendment number 1 to this agreement exercises the first 5-year extension option and adjusts the rate from $275 per acre foot dollars to $450 per acre foot to reflect additional costs. There are 2 financial fiscal impacts. One, the city should expect to pay an estimated $100,000 this current fiscal year while still staying under budget. And two, there'll need to be an increase in next year's fiscal budget for imported groundwater purchase by approximately 40%, which is still lower than the imported water costs from MWD. Included in the report is the original agreement and the amendment along with the cost breakdown. That concludes my report, and I will call on Jesse if there are any technical questions that I need to handle. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 8?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Sarno, approved by second by Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Item number 9, housing successor agenda. We have one consent item. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 9?
I'll move.
Second.
Motion by Rodriguez, second by Rounds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Item number 10, successor agency agenda. We have one consent item. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 10?
I'll move.
Second.
Motion by Zamora, second by Sarno. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Item number 11, city council agenda. We have 7 consent items, A through G. Is there a motion for the approval of the city council consent agenda?
I'll move.
I second.
Motion by Rounds, second by Rodriguez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Public hearing, item number 12, annual weed abatement program. I would like to open public hearing. Anyone wishing to be heard, please raise your hand via Zoom or approach the podium when speaking. Please state your name. City clerk, do we have any speakers tonight?
Madam Mayor, we have one speaker, Bruce Crow.
And it is regarding the weed abatement. Thank you, Bruce.
Good evening, council. I'm from Downey, you know that, but I wasn't going to comment on the weed abatement, but I would like to also parlay this over to participation from the public. I would like to hear more people come up and volunteer their 2 cents, if you will. And this is a perfect issue. Nobody likes to see vacant property dilapidated, weeds growing waist high, and mattresses dumped in a plot of land, and then you have to go ahead and get rid of this stuff. Well, it's something you have to deal with. But if the job gets done properly and orderly, if you have to work together with the county, that's fine. But people should be up here, and I would encourage them to participate. Even if it's only for 2 sentences, that I don't like the way weeds look on this property, and I wish somebody would get rid of this stuff. It makes my neighborhood look terrible. And besides that, you get mosquitoes and bugs and everything else. So it's something that people can participate in. I don't like vacant properties where weeds are growing, 3 or 4 feet high, and rubbish is everywhere. And somebody has to take care of it. And it's not only the city council's job to do that. It's all the residents' job to do that, and they should be up here participating. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Madam Mayor, that concludes our speakers.
I will now close public hearing. Is there any discussion or a motion for the approval of item number 12?
I'll move.
Second,
Second.
motion by Rounds, second by Sarno. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Item number 13, approval of professional service agreement between the city of Santa Fe Springs and Coffin Associates for the executive recruitment for the city manager and related appropriation in finance. I'd like to call on Human Resource Manager Debbie Ford.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. As we move forward to fill and recruit for the vacancy of city manager, staff recommended to bring in a professional recruiting firm, as these firms offer a more extensive outreach. The HR office solicited proposals from 6 recruitment firms that have extensive experience in public sector executive recruitments. From those 6, we received 5 proposals. Those proposals were shared with the council at a closed session meeting, and based on the council's review and references conducted, we bring forward for your approval an agreement with Coffin Associates. The cost associated with this firm is for an amount not to exceed $25,000. Staff is requesting an appropriation from the general fund reserve to fund this agreement.
Thank you, Debbie. Is there any discussion or a motion for the approval of item number 13?
I'll move.
There's a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Zamora, second by Rounds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Presentations, milestone presentation. I would like to call on Public Information Officer Raylene Barraza.
Good evening, Mayor Martin and members of the City Council. Residents celebrating a significant milestone are invited to contact the city so we can learn about their significant life event and recognize them. This evening, we are pleased to share in the celebration of a special birthday milestone. At the end of the presentation, I would like to invite the family members in attendance to join in the photo that will be taken with the City Council. I would now like to invite Laura Beatriz Murillo to join the council up at the dais. You could go up.
Yeah, let's go down there. We'll go down there.
Go there. Okay.
She could come in.
This past January 28th, Ms. Murillo celebrated her 97th birthday. Ms. Murillo was born in Ecuador. She initially came to the United States because she wanted to take care of her son, Flavio. It was 30 years ago that she moved to the city of Santa Fe Springs and called it home. She has enjoyed her time living here and has taken advantage of attending the various special events and programs offered by the city throughout the years. Ms. Murillo attended the Gus Velasco Neighborhood Center, where she actively participated in senior dances and exercise classes. She is the proud mother of 4 successful sons, Leo, Darwin, Flavio, and Warren Bravo. 2 of her sons are pilots. One is a master engineer and the other is a businessman. Her sons tell me that they owe all of their success to their mother because they had the best mom growing up. She taught them respect and how to be good human beings. Ms. Murillo is also the proud grandmother of 11 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. Today, Ms. Murillo enjoys spending time with her family and friends. She loves to help people and is very generous. She attends St. Pius X Church and always gives back to help the church any way she can. Ms. Murillo, congratulations on your 97th birthday. We wish you many more beautiful years surrounded by your loved ones.
"97 years old. Wow. Maybe if we start eating like Maricela, we might make it at least a 70.
None of us will be here, Marcelo, but you will. You can tell us all.
Gracias, Dani. Día maravilloso, hay unos hijos ejemplares, ellos me cuidan, Dios y mis hijos, puedo llegar a esta edad con el cariño de la familia y los hijos y les estoy muy agradecida porque ustedes hayan tenido la gentileza de concederme este honor.
Gracias a usted, señora, por estar aquí.
Amén, amén. Que Dios te bendiga.
She's saying that it was an honor for her and the reason why her life is so long is because the love that she has from her children and the love that she has for God. It's just a blessing to see someone at 97 be so alert, alive, and full of spirit. Yeah. Now next item is proclamation declaring the month of March 2023 as National Reading Month in Santa Fe Springs. I would like to call on Library Service Manager Deborah.
March 2023 is National Reading Month, a celebration designed to promote reading to people of all ages. We would like to take this opportunity to encourage everyone to read, as well as share their love of all types of literature with each other. I'd like to ask two people to join me in accepting the proclamation. Angela Trasker is a member of our Usual Suspects Mystery Book Group. And Shannon Daly has served the readers of our community as a librarian for over 26 years.
Can you please come up to the dais? Come on, girls. Janet, are you going to read the proclamation? Thank you.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Whereas reading plays a crucial role in our lives by stimulating our imagination, expanding our knowledge of the world and each other, and helping us to develop language skills. And whereas reading is also associated with early childhood learning and development as it helps children to learn sounds, words, and language, expand literacy skills, and develop the ability to focus, concentrate, socialize, and communicate. And now therefore, the city of Santa Fe Springs do hereby proclaim March 2023 as National Reading Month. Thank you.
I think the ladies understand to show that too. Yeah. Are you here for your mother's 97th birthday? In the back. ¿Son con usted? ¿Están con usted? Yeah. You guys want to come up again so we could take a picture all over again? Come on up. Go ahead. Vamos a sacar otra foto. Go right ahead. Come on. Well, after you turn 97 years old, let's take another picture.
Once.
Once. The rest of the family. Oh, now they're here, yeah.
Wait, Bill.
Bill, Annette, we're just gonna stay here now.
So we asked the question, what is it that makes her so youthful? What does she eat? And her son responded by saying a lot of garlic. So she eats garlic in the morning, afternoon, evening, before she goes to bed, and also tea and honey and lemon. All right.
Next proclamation, declaring the month of March 2023 as National Development Disabilities Awareness Month in Santa Fe Springs. I would like to call on Mandarin Analyst Ruby Picon.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Department of Community Services offers a variety of programs and events to enhance the quality of life of residents. At the start of this year, the department launched adaptive recreation programs to meet the growing need to offer programming for individuals with developmental disabilities. As part of our adaptive recreation programs, the department offers Thursday Club, specially designed for teens and adults. Thursday Club meets every week at Town Center Hall and provides opportunities for participants to maximize their abilities through recreation activities with a social emphasis. The program has been well received with 30 to 40 participants at each session. In addition, we have started hosting quarterly themed dances. The first adaptive recreation dance was Valentine's Day themed, and the next dance scheduled is in celebration of Cinco de Mayo. The department will continue to explore additional program offerings to ensure that individuals with disabilities have ongoing opportunities for creative expression, physical activity, and social interaction. To accept the proclamation, we have community services staff who have been instrumental in implementing our new adaptive recreation programs.
Thank you, Ruby. City Clerk, would you like to read the proclamation?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Whereas in 1987, President Ronald Reagan officially proclaimed March as National Development Disabilities Awareness Month. And whereas development disabilities are conditions which affect more than 6 million Americans and their families. And whereas the city of Santa Fe Springs stands firmly committed to improving the quality in Santa Fe Springs and offers a wide array of services and programs to enable all its citizens to lead productive lives and achieve their full potential. Now, therefore, the city of Santa Fe Springs hereby proclaim March 2023 as National Development Disability Awareness Month.
Great. Item D, youth leadership. Where's our youth leadership? Perfect.
Madam Mayor, can I say something real quick about,
Sure.
Going back to our disability needs awareness, the staff actually do a tremendous job. Having a brother who has special needs, COVID really hit them real hard in their functioning, and actually, my brother was going through a state of depression, even though he can't tell us that. And, your guys' dances and, just group activities have done so much for them. My brother I heard that he was at the dance and wouldn't get off the dance floor, and he danced so much that, he was just so happy when he came home. He just, in his stuttering voice, he just was just talking to me, and I just listened to every moment. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and thank you for all that you guys do for, this community. It's been a long time since, we've reached out. So I'm just grateful that our city has done their part. So Gus, Maricela, library, Deborah, and everyone else who plays a hand in this. Thank you, and God bless you guys.
Thank you. 2023 Youth Leadership Committee Annual Retreat at Green Valley Lake, California, and recognition of retreat sponsor Surwell Disposal and Recycling. I would like to call upon Community Service Supervisor Wayne Bergeron.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Oh, this is loud. My dulcet tones are. Oh, good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. Thank you for having us here this evening. The city's Youth Leadership Committee, or the YLC as we refer to them, is the advisory body to the city council on matters impacting our youth in the community. To serve on the committee, members must be appointed by the city council, and they spend their time on the committee learning about the functions of local government, learning how to conducting public meetings, and bringing forward the concerns and issues impacting our city's youth to the council. So in order to grow and enhance their leadership capabilities, there are in-service and retreat opportunities for them. And the YLC went on their annual retreat in January to Green Valley Lake in the mountains of San Bernardino County. And so we've invited members of the Youth Leadership Committee this evening to share and recap their experience for the retreat. And if I can, just put the presentation up, please. There we go. You're going to see there was a lot of snow. It actually snowed the entire weekend we were there. And you might even see a picture of myself and Manuel Cantu digging snow out, I think. So, but I will, if we can go to the next slide, please. I'd like to introduce the members of the Youth Leadership Committee. They're our chairperson, Aaron Doss, our vice chairperson, Jillian Casillas, Vanessa Doss, who is our secretary, and I'm sorry, Vanessa Doss, Valerie Bojorquez, Jillian Casillas, Zulema Gamboa, Valerie Gamboa, and Giselle Morales. And so they're here this evening to speak on our retreat. So I will turn the time over to our chairperson, Aaron Doss.
Well, good evening, everyone. To introduce myself again, my name is Aaron Doss, and I would like to say thank you to the City Council for allowing us to be here tonight to share our experience at the Youth Leadership Committee retreat. Starting off, I would like to focus on point one, which is time management. At our Youth Leadership Committee retreat, we repeatedly had presentations and discussed how we as committee members need to spare time in our schedules in order to devote and be committed to the Youth Leadership Committee and its various functions. And moving on to taking initiative, getting involved, and civic engagement, we also talked about how we as a committee need to be active in our community, which is the city of Santa Fe Springs, and how we need to be in attendance at volunteering opportunities. I know we recently attended the Pennant Carnival yesterday, and it was a very fun event, but I know that we have several upcoming opportunities for volunteering that we can take advantage of as well. And we also discussed how we can make an impact here at city council meetings as well by proposing ideas that we may have to you, the city council. And moving on to working together and planning or organization, we also proposed ideas as to forming new events for the teens program here in the city. We know that the teens program is a very important club or organization in this community for the teenage population. And so we wanted to make an impact by creating a plan and a set of actions that we could take in order to promote teens program and also help it advance this year. In addition, we also discussed various teens events that we could possibly formulate for the teenage population here, such as possibly having a movie night for the teenage community, and also forming other events that may help teenagers bond and actually grow as a community in order to benefit one another. In addition, I would also like to state that we proposed an idea as to growing our committee. As you may see, our numbers are a little bit low right now, although we have expanded as a committee recently, but we definitely have room for improvement in that area. And we truly discussed that we can make a bigger impact in this community by growing our numbers. And with that, I would like to add that we have actually promoted an advancement to share flyers with students at our schools. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Valerie Bojorquez, and I will be continuing with the network slide of this presentation. So how Aaron Doss had said of recruiting new members and collaborating with the teens, we are planning to attend teen meetings to go ahead and see more teens that attend the teens. We are planning to talk to them more and just let them know about the Youth Leadership Committee and what we have to offer, to let them know that we are here so they can speak to us about anything for the city that they would like to change or see an improvement with. So then we can go ahead and tell you guys, just in case they're afraid to or they're not sure what to do and how to tell you guys. And we also plan to attend these teams meetings to go ahead and recruit new members. This is the lowest the youth leadership has been with their members, but we have been growing since our previous meeting. So we would like to just keep on recruiting new members and hopefully be growing since we are the voice of the teens for the city. To go ahead and continue with working with local schools and reaching out to local businesses, we have gone to Santa Fe High School and set up a booth and let them know that we are here for the youth leadership, to let them know that they are able to join if they live in the city of Santa Fe Springs, and to share that they will help the teens and be the voice of the teens if they are on the board of the youth leadership. And with reaching out to local businesses, we help local businesses and we hope that they can help us as well with the youth movement and just everything that we're trying to begin. As far as the teens, since they are one of the local businesses, the clubs, as far as they do movie nights and painting, how Aaron Doss had said, if they were to help us with those, we can go ahead and help them as a one-on-one. And with making a presence in the city, we have attended multiple events for the city as far as the Penny Carnival. Some of us has helped for Halloween, for 4th of July. Any of those events we have helped, and we've met new people, we've met teens, we've seen the families, we've got to know people, we've got to see you guys, we've got to meet you guys, and just show that we are here to help our city. We're here to have an impact and to have a say, and we would like to continue attending city events and just show that we are here. We are here to have a say we are here to give a say for the teens. We are here to voice the teens, and hopefully we can make an impact. Thank you.
Good evening. So as far as team building goes, we worked on integrating new members. As a lot of the seniors we had graduated, so we were working on introducing our new members and acclimating them to feel comfortable and welcome to the YLC. We also worked on working together and really just getting to know each other as members of this committee and seeing how we can all come together to make a difference in our community. In our retreat, we did icebreakers to get to know each other, to better work together. We also worked on keeping momentum and really just moving forward and staying consistent in order to hopefully move forward and make progress as a committee. We worked on keeping our enthusiasm. We additionally worked on problem solving as teens voiced any issues in our community that we can help voice and bring attention to, and see what we as a committee can come together to do. A major theme of this retreat was building trust, not only with the teens, but with the city as well, as we want to be a familiar and helpful face that you guys can trust us to come to us with anything you may need. By the end of this trip, I think we can all say we built great trust within each other and overall really got to know each other in a way I don't think could have been achieved without this retreat. So thank you for the opportunity.
Hello. So my slide is goal setting and dedicating more time to the YLC committee, such like personal time to be useful for the YLC, and create social media presence. Adding on to that is an example, making an account like on Instagram dedicated to YLC and like posting to like add more members onto the committee. And then fulfill a stronger presence at the teen programs events, is such as saying ideas to help with the teen programs. Be more involved in our community to promote more about the YLC committee and the teen programs. And then lastly is provide support to adopt families and introduce new programming such as Teen Painting Night. Try to help adopting families and other events for the city programming painting nights to the city. Thank you.
Hi, as stated before, my name is Vanessa Doss, and just to elaborate a little bit more about our retreat, there was a lot of snowfall and we got to go snow sledding, and back at the cabin, there was a game room where we all played games together like pool and ping pong, and overall, we just got to learn more about each other and bond together. Thank you for allowing me to share with you all about our retreat.
In that lower right-hand picture there, you can't see, there's Manuel and myself. We're not just opening the car doors. We're actually shoveling snow and breaking the ice. Like, literally, there was about 3 feet of snow that fell on just on Saturday alone. So it was a very good time, but very cold and very snowy. So I would like to thank this one more slide just to go ahead and we can advance it, please. Just want to say just a very special thank you to the City Council for its continued support of the Youth Leadership Program. It really does help to develop the future leaders and future civic leaders of our, not only of our community, but wherever they may wind up living well after they finish school and advance on with their lives. And we also want to recognize at this time a company that without their support and financial resource, this retreat, this annual retreat would not be possible. And that's ServWell Disposal and Recycling. And we are fortunate this evening to have John Prohoroff with us. His company has just been just a tremendous sponsor and tremendous friend of the Youth Leadership Committee. And if I could, Madam Mayor, I believe you have something to go and present on behalf of the Youth Leadership Committee. There was something that Mr. Prohoroff wanted to go ahead and share, I believe. Sorry, Aaron, would you want to stay up there? Mr. Prohoroff, was there something you wanted to go ahead and present or share? The chairperson, we'll go to the chairperson here. So what is being presented, I believe, is another check in the amount of $3,000 in support of the Youth Leadership Committee's retreat and other operations for the next year. Mr. Prohoroff is exceptionally humble, and he wanted to give it away and just run out the door. But again, I just wanted to say thank you so much to ServWell and to you for your continued support. We are so fortunate to have a relationship and a partnership with ServWell. So thank you again, sir. And lastly, Madam Mayor, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the staff that worked so hard and so diligently to put this program together. Our program coordinator, Manuel Cantu, and our program leader 3, Tanita Walsh, and our program leader 2, Isabella Gill. If they're here, please stand or just raise your hand. There we go. they were with us, they were herding cats, and they were doing a great job, cooking, cleaning, and doing everything else over the entire weekend, and just helping to grow this committee. So again, thank you so very much again for your continued support. And that concludes our presentation.
Thank you so
Madam
much.
Mayor.
Thank you. On to the next item, introduction of Department of Community Services newly hired and recently promoted employees. I would like to call upon Director of Community Services, Marisela Valderas.
Thank you, Mayor. So over the last 2 months, our Community Services Department has hired new employees and promoted our internal staff in all 3 divisions. So this evening, there are 3 staff that I'd like to introduce. I wanted to start off with Jasmine Orial. If you could come on up, please, to the podium. Jasmine Orial is the Administrative Assistant 2 in the Family and Human Services Division. She has worked for Santa Fe Springs since 2018 as a Program Leader 1 in both Parks and Rec and Family and Human Services. She assisted in the child care program for a brief time. She worked summer camps, and she also provided clerical support to police services and Family and Human Services. She was promoted to Administrative Assistant 2 on January the 2nd. Jasmine attended El Rancho High School in the city of Pico Rivera, and she studied early childhood education. She received her certificate from Cerritos College. She recently went back to Cerritos College and is now pursuing a degree in social and behavioral sciences. She plans to transfer to Cal State Dominguez Hills and pursue her degree in public administration and sociology. Her absolute favorite thing to do is to go on hikes with her dog Milo. She also enjoys being crafty, cooking, reading, and going to Disneyland. Jasmine also received the 2022 Employee of the Year Award for the Family and Human Services Division. Jasmine truly loves working for this city. She plans to work towards getting her degree so that she can continue to grow professionally in the Department of Community Services and give back to the community. Jasmine, congratulations on your recent promotion. Next. You want to take a photo? Or- Yeah. Next, I'd like to introduce Mayumi De Vera. If you could please come up. She is our Librarian 3 in the Library Services Division. Mayumi has worked for Santa Fe Springs since December of 2019 as an information desk assistant. In January 2022, she was promoted to Technical Services Librarian 2, and then she was promoted to Librarian 3 last month. Mayumi graduated from St. Maur International School in Japan. She received her Bachelor's of Arts in Liberal Studies, Music from Cal State Fullerton, and her master's degree in Library and Information Science from San Jose State University. Her hobbies are playing the guitar, listening to music, and she also enjoys running for fun and exercise. That's mine. As a college student, Mayumi helped set up and run the Electronic Resource Center. As a professional, she was also part of a modernization project at a special library, and she assisted in the relocation of the library to the state of Pennsylvania. Here in Santa Fe Springs, Mayumi took the lead in applying for a state library grant, and she set up our computer senior lab over at the Gus Velasco Neighborhood Center. She has also assisted in a few other recent modernization upgrades within the library. Mayumi loves working for Santa Fe Springs, and she feels like she finally has the career that she sought out, and she plans on staying in Santa Fe Springs. Mayumi's future goal is to do her very best in her new position that is evolving. She also wants to help bring the very best out of our amazing library staff and encourage professional development. Mayumi, congratulations on your well-deserved promotion. And lastly, I'd like to introduce a new employee to Santa Fe Springs, Esmeralda Elise, if she could come up. She is the Administrative Assistant 2 in the Parks and Recreation Division. She comes to us with the wealth of Parks and Recreation Services, knowledge. She spent her last 8 years working for the city of Irvine, most recently in their marketing department. Throughout her 8 years with the city of Irvine, she worked in various areas of the Community Services Department, including drop-in programs, scholarship administration, special events, camps, after-school programs, and sport programs. She was hired on January 24th. Esmeralda attended Merced High School in Merced County, and she's taken classes at Orange Coast College and Santiago Canyon College. Esmeralda told us that her career goals are to be happy and successful in whichever role she pursues. Help us welcome Esmeralda Elise to our city.
Item number 15, public comments are now open. Anyone joining us through Zoom can use the raise hand function if you wish to make a public comment on non-agenda items only. The city clerk will see if you have raised your hand through the Zoom application. For those that are here to make a public comment in person, you will have an opportunity once the city clerk announces your name. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. City clerk, do you have any members of the public that wish to speak?
Madam Mayor, we have 2 speakers. First, we have Lee Squire.
Lee Squire, Vietnam veteran, civil rights advocate for students with disabilities. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I want to thank all of you for recognizing Developmental Disabilities Month. And to Zamora, you are correct. Our special needs children have taken a toll because of COVID across America. So thank you for making that awareness. First, I have noticed that the POW MIA flag is not flying below the American flag at either the Veterans War Memorial or in front of the City Hall. I'm asking that you acquire this flag, but that has a lot of meaning for us who have served. And I'm asking on behalf of all the veterans of the city of Santa Fe Springs. Second, Black History Month, also President's Month. Abraham Lincoln is connected to the Civil War and the fight for freedom of slavery. And born out of the Civil War was the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution that applies to all the states as to life, liberty, and property with due process. John F. Kennedy and the Civil Rights Movement and Vietnam War. The Civil Rights Movement was about the freedom of oppression of the Black community and others per MLK Jr. Civil Rights Movement was about exercising First and the 14th Amendments to the Constitution and the Equal Protection Clause. Without the Black community, there was no MLK. Without no MLK, there was no Civil Rights Movement. And without the Civil Rights Movement, there was no Civil Rights Act of 1964, which was the most aggressive of the legislative changes since the Great Reconstruction. I ask you, Mayor and the City Council, is what were the children of Santa Fe Springs taught during February as to Black History Month and to our presidents, John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln and others? God bless America. God bless the nation of Israel. God bless the military and veterans, and God bless law enforcement across America. Thank you.
Next, we have Bruce Crow.
Good evening again, council. Lot of good things here in Santa Fe Springs. Just sitting and observing, and my general impression is there's a lot of interesting and positive things happening. I can't say the same for the city of Downey right now. And I can jokingly say, I won't be too controversial, like the youth club there. Where are the boys? There was only one boy there. We need more men, you know? Recruit them, get them in here. We need more men to stand up and be men. And if you think that's controversial, I know all those young parents are really gonna worry, because pretty soon you're gonna have to give them $20 and the keys of the car. That's scary at times. Those are young kids there, but they're growing up. Good for them. I would still like to encourage everybody to participate. I know you had an aquatic center that you're discussing, and the mayor pro tem at last meeting was imploring people to show up and give their input, especially at the conceptual designs and things like that. So if you're going to be a participant and a resident, show up to these things. The mayor pro tem is asking you to do so. And I hope everybody does show up and at least give it some input to it, because when you don't have the opportunity to have input into a situation, you're going to get it taken away from you. And we're experiencing that in Downey right now. We have a new mayor that is bent on stifling as much input as possible with the advice from the interim city attorney, and it's not acceptable as far as I'm concerned. We need to have more public hearings. We need to have more public participation, and we don't need our speech squashed in any way, shape, or form. So if you are here in Santa Fe Springs, participate before it's taken away from you, because you don't want to be subject to some petty tyrant, a true daughter of Fidel, if you ask me. That's, I mean, it's disgusting, some of the things that go on there. So participate, be accountable, express your opinion, your First Amendment. And the city council here, it seems like they're very open and they're welcoming you to come in. Take advantage of that, and it'll make everybody better. It'll make you better. It'll make the city better, and it'll make your council stronger. Don't be shy. Okay? Good, bad, or indifferent. Don't be shy. Participate. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Madam Mayor, that concludes our speakers.
Thank you so much. I will now close public comments and move on to the next item. City manager report and executive team reports. I would like to call upon interim city manager Tom Hatch.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. This is a nice opportunity tonight. I just have one item, and then we'll go around the horn with our department directors to provide some additional comments. I just want to start off, and my support report is kind of a summary of my first 2 weeks. So 2 weeks ago, I was at the podium to say hello, and now I've had 2 weeks of submersion into Santa Fe Springs, and I really enjoyed my time. I want to thank the City Council publicly for their patience and for their ideas and hopes and dreams for your community. I look forward to helping you move those forward and working with our staff and the community as we do that. I also want to thank the council for your encouragement to get out and see Santa Fe Springs, visit our sites, attend our community meetings, go on ride-alongs, do all the different things that will help me learn about the Santa Fe Springs community. And I've done that, quite a bit of it so far, and I'm enjoying that. And what I'm seeing is just a really positive community, and just so many good things that are happening. Like the speaker mentioned in public comments, and seeing the youth leadership committee and their comments and the impact that you had on them and their development. They'll remember that trip forever. And I'm just really excited to be part of a community that cares about those things. In terms of community members, I've met quite a few community members as well. And if you see me, please come up and say hello. I'd love to meet and get to know more of you as we move forward. And I also have many other site visits to see, and much work ahead. But I do want to especially thank our management team that's helped me and been patient with a lot of questions and a lot of ideas and input. And I've enjoyed that. I hope they will as well, not only in the first 2 weeks, but moving forward. And finally, I want to thank the city manager's office team. We have a great team that supports the council day in and day out, as well as they support me. And we do a lot of good work to help communicate and process the various things that come through that office. So I'm proud of that team. So with that, that is my only report tonight, Madam Mayor and members of the council. I'll go around the horn to our department directors and to provide their reports. I'll start on my left and we'll go around to my right, and starting with Marticetta.
Thank you very much. Been waiting for this day. Thank you. Good. Anyway, well, good evening, members of the council, audience. We've had some very busy few weeks, and I have several items to report with you this evening. Wanted to start off with our Aquatic Center Community Engagement Meeting. If you could put that slide. So on Wednesday, February the 15th, the city hosted a community engagement meeting to gather in feedback on the latest iteration of the conceptual design of the Aquatic Center. We had over 50 community members who attended the meeting, which was held at Town Center Hall. Additionally, the city engaged with several community members through live polls and on social media. So on your screen, there. Okay, we got it. And so you'll be seeing on on the screen, you'll see some pictures of the meeting and the conceptual design that were presented. Sorry. Oh, does that apply to me too? All right. Oh. There we go. So those are the photos of the meeting and the conceptual design that were presented that evening. So the next steps are to finalize the conceptual design through city council action, and we're going to continue to seek funding for the project. We want to thank our community for supporting this project and for being patient as we move forward with this project. Next item. In February of 2020, just before COVID closures occurred, a group of 8 families signed up for our family camp at Camp Commerce in Lake Arrowhead. Unfortunately, those 8 families were denied use of the cabins due to a booking error on the part of Commerce staff. In addition to the full cost of the family camp that was refunded to each family, arrangements were made for each family to return to Camp Commerce at no cost. This past weekend, the families were finally able to take their trip to Camp Commerce on February 17th through the 19th. The families all had a great time at the camp and were very appreciative to the city for not forgetting about their trip, despite the 2-year lag time due to COVID. So on your screen, you see some of the photos and of the activities that took place and that the families enjoyed. Next. So on last Saturday, on February 18th, the city officially opened the new playground at Los Nietos Park. The ceremony was attended by approximately 50 community members where they enjoyed snacks, some cool giveaways, and tons of fun. We heard a lot of stories from community members, including from our mayor, that there's been for dozens of years that they shared that they remembered that the slides were made of metal, and on hot summer days, they had to close the playground down. This is certainly an upgrade for Los Nietos Park, and the community has been very receptive for this new playground. We want to thank our city council and our interim city manager for Saturday's ceremony. It was a great event. Next. So yesterday on February 20th, Los Nietos Park was the place to be at the city hosted President's Day Penny Carnival at the Activity Center. The carnival was attended by hundreds of kids and families who enjoyed 14 carnival games, hot dogs, and an afternoon of fun. We had a special guest, George the vegan pig, joined us that yesterday. He's a regular participant at Los Nietos Park. I'd like to thank our city council members and our interim city manager, Tom Hatch, for their attendance at this Penny Carnival. Here's a short video recapping the event. did ask the owner, George's owner, and she did tell me, confirm that, that George only eats vegetables. He does not eat meat. So moving on to Thursday's club. So on Thursday, February 16th, the library and the Parks and Rec staff hosted a tech day for Thursday's club. 3 stations were set up. 1 station was on computer basics and taught participants how to turn on the computer, select a browser, and use a mouse. The 2nd station introduced participants to iPad game apps, and the 3rd station had 4 iPad-controlled robots that could move, dance, light up, and make noises. There was even a participant who was able to complete an internet training module available on the library's website, and some who played the Fruit Ninja app for the first time. The goal of this program is to introduce participants to technology in a friendly way, and that the activities that were received very, very well. The next Thursday's club is already booked up and part of the library's Santa Fe Springs Grows Grant Program. Participants are going to learn more about drought-tolerant plants. Next, on February the 15th, the library's STEAM program invited young patrons to learn about magnetism and conduct their own experiments. Participants designed a magnet maze by identifying magnet poles, and they personalized their maze to create a game. The next class is scheduled for March 15th, and registration is required. Next one, tomorrow, February the 22nd, the library will host a family program, A Brief History of the Telescope. The program starts at 6:30 p.m., and our speaker will provide a background on telescopes. Weather permitting, we will take the telescopes outside to view the night sky. The library will also have telescopes that families can check out and take home. The program was funded by a $20,000 grant from the state library. And then our library's First Friday program, the next one is on March 3rd. The library's presenting Kelsmer Juice Band. It's a group that combines Jewish soul music with a Caribbean flair. This group was also featured in the movie The Wedding Crashers. We're going to have light refreshments are going to be served, and registration is not required. Then on February the 10th, our Community Services Department, we held our first Adaptive Recreation Valentine's Dance. We had a total of 128 participants and their caretakers. They danced the day away. They were provided glow sticks, and they enjoyed a photo opportunity at with various props. The next dance is scheduled for Friday, May the 5th, from 12 to noon at Town Center. And here's a video that recaps that event. And then lastly, our community services staff is busy planning our 2023 Art Fest event, which is going to take place on Friday, April the 28th from 3 to 11 p.m. at the Clark Estate. The event is going to feature a variety of art mediums ranging from photography, sculpture, and film. There will be musical entertainment performances, food trucks, and artists and vendors. The headlining performances will include Quitapenas and Maná de Corazón. Admission fees for the event on Friday is $10 per person, and student admission is free. Participants can register for all the activities by visiting sfsartfest.org. And then the preview and showcase night is scheduled for Thursday, April the 27th from 5 to 9, featuring musical entertainment from the LA Misfits. Admission fees for the preview and showcase night is $10 per person. It includes a beer and wine tasting. Also, a paint and sip activity is also available in the evening at 6:30 p.m. for $35, and this fee includes the admission and the beer and wine tasting. And that concludes my long report.
Thank you, Marcella. Wow, packed with information, and thanks so much for sharing that. Lana, any updates?
Madam Mayors and council members, I have one item, and I'm happy to report that on February 15th, our human resource staff, Geneva and Leslie, attended a job fair at Cal State Dominguez Hughes. We promoted 6 of our current vacancies and our summer hiring expo. During the fair, our staff met with more than 50 students and passed out goodie bags with flyers. As a reminder, the summer hiring expo is happening this coming Saturday. That concluded my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Chief, any reports?
Madam Mayor, City Council, thank you. Just one item for you this week. Last week, fire personnel completed their annual fire department hose testing. Council's aware, we carry approximately 22,000 feet of fire hose on our apparatus, which equates to roughly about 4 miles worth of hose of various sizes. The National Fire Protection Agency regulates how much hose we carry and how often we test it. So we test it annually and we carry it. Its service life is approximately 15 years. If you remember a few years back, the department received a grant for approximately $120,000 to replace all of our hose. With council approval at that time, we were able to donate all of our old hose to the Navajo Fire Department and the Rio Hondo Fire Academy for training future cadets that will hopefully be serving our community. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Dino, any reports?
Yes, just one report. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This Friday will be the Silver Shield event. That'll be at Pacific Palms and that'll be at 5:30. And that's an event where we honor our Whittier PD staff that work for Whittier and the city of Santa Fe Springs. And so we have several winners, several people honored there on both sides. So we look forward to seeing the council there. Thank you.
Thank you. Wayne, any reports?
Yes, thank you, sir. I do have a presentation. It's about 3 minutes, so we ask your patient. Vince, Vince is our associate planner. Thank you, Vince.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, members of the Santa Fe Springs community. Our planning and development staff has prepared a brief presentation to highlight our accomplishments throughout the 2022 calendar year. The presentation highlights development projects that were entitled in 2022, as well as project updates on developments that were recently completed or under construction. You will also see proud accomplishments through the 2040 general plan adoption, building permit information and business license information. You'll also see a quick slide as to what's to come in 2023. And the presentation is not only just a recap of the accomplishments made by staff, but also a representation of the many important and sometimes difficult decisions made by the city's planning commission. So with that said, I'd like to play the video.
right, thank you, Wayne. Congratulations on that. And Yvette?
Thank you. Good evening again, Mayor and members of the council. I, like Tom, have also been here only a couple of weeks. I also took an opportunity to create a presentation for this evening, if we can get it queued up. It was partially not only to help myself learn more about the city, but also to present some of the accomplishments as well that have come through Public Works over the past year. We'll see if I can work this PowerPoint presentation. So I'll start it here. I've been so impressed with the city council, the departments, and all of our team. Everyone from this council to the executive management team, to all the local experts in Public Works have really opened their arms. The level of effort and the professional and personal pride has impressed me beyond words. I'm going to take a few minutes, hopefully not more than 3, to go through a series of slides to show you some of what I've learned and things that I thought were important to show council and members of the public that come in and hear a wide range of issues. First, on this slide, I wanted to take the time to introduce everyone to my management team, to my managers. We have utility services with Jesse, who I believe is here. If you'd like to wave, if you're still here, might have bailed on us. Municipal water maintenance, Kevin. Hello. And engineering services, which I don't think Robert made it back. He was, I believe he was at a softball game with his daughter a little bit earlier. But anyway, teamwork, collaboration, and responsiveness is something that really leads to accomplishments, and I wanted to go through some of that with you. So first of all, I'll start with Jesse and his team, his water team. I apologize that he isn't here any longer. He stayed for most of the meeting. So these folks are ensuring that every resident and businesses have the best drinking water around. Completing testing activities that few people even know but keep them safe every day. This team's ensuring that the city's integrated water network is accessible, safe, and maintained for everyone. They handle all the new development, the fire hydrant upgrades, as well as the water elements associated with the CIP and even the sub-regional projects, all seamlessly without interruption and all getting the daily care and feeding that's necessary. With the help of grants, we're going to continue to work to get full funding for at least one of the water wells, hopefully this coming year, which would reduce our dependence on the Metropolitan Water District, which is at a premium cost. Next, we have maintenance. Kevin, he's a fantastic communicator. Thank you so much. This is a proud group of professionals that is not only maintaining the buildings, but the roads, the city's fleet, the ball fields, the parks, in addition to having a very responsive internet software base program that is responsive to the public's needs. As you can see from this slide here, there have been over 2,000 requests that come through this to the city in the last year, with the top one being graffiti. This program is accessible by all. Thank you, Kevin. Lastly, the engineering division led by Robert Garcia. So Robert, what I've learned, I knew Robert for a while, but he's the epitome of a team player. He's a chef, waiter, bottle washer, you name it, he does it all, with over 20 years of institutional knowledge here in the city of Santa Fe Springs. And it's no wonder that the CIP is so well put together. This group also does all the city's permitting projects. They represent the city at the sub-regional arena, including projects like the Rosecrans Marquardt grade separation, as well as the I-5 and high-speed rail, which require resources and coordination. There's a tremendous collaboration as well that exists between this council, its subcommittees, the CIP subcommittee, and the grant writers and the rest of the departments in developing the most comprehensive funded CIP that I have ever been associated with in my 30 years of experience. So you have a really great team delivering projects. This slide highlights a few things that have happened over the past year. This is part of your CIP, delivering the vision for our city. They've completed 10 projects so far. I will go through a quick synopsis of each one. There are 5 projects under construction or about to start construction, 3 projects that are soliciting proposals, 24 projects that are in the design phase, and 5 projects that are sub-regional in nature, like the Rosecrans Marquardt grade separation and others that require resources of our public works team. Moving right along, most of you are familiar with the city's CIP. There's various elements of the CIP, including the Public Works Facilities portion, which has about 5 projects, the Public Works Street portion, the Public Works Traffic Signals, Community Services, City Manager, and Police and Fire, totaling about 41 projects, which is quite impressive. Just real quick, scanning through a lot of the completed projects over the past year, the LED streetlight improvements, phase 1 or phase A, the carpet improvements that were completed last June, the Heritage Park train exhibit improvements completed last June or July, the Florence Avenue storm pump replacement project, various street improvements, including Pioneer, Santa Fe Springs Park, the parking lot expansion, the Valley View at Rosecrans intersection, which was recently completed, the Los Nietos Park playground improvements, which was recently completed, and soon we're going to have the parking lot, the slurry seal that was completed recently as well, and lastly, the I-5 Freeway Valley View segment. I also hope to contribute in my temporary role by minimizing the disruption to the existing teams, in providing oversight, problem solving where I can, and keeping the city's business moving forward until a permanent director can be hired. Thank you so much for the trust that you've given me and the continued support of the Public Works team, which is what makes the city great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yvette. And with that, Madam Mayor, that concludes our team reports.
Thank you so much. On to appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. Councilmember Rodriguez, do you have any tonight?
None at this time, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Rounds,
None tonight, Mayor.
Councilmember Zamora,
None tonight.
Mayor Pro Tem.
None tonight.
And I have none also. Item number 18, councilmember comments. Let's start off with Councilmember Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you, everybody. Thank you to all of our staff. You've just done an amazing job. I'm just like in awe because it's so wonderful. We have such a wonderful staff that runs itself along with all of our directors that lead. So thank you. And I love the presentations. They're amazing. I wanted to thank our staff for the Valentine's dance, which a lot of us went to the dance. We had a great time. It was sold out, and I love seeing our residents, the Nakamuras. They were just dancing till the 12th of Never. They were just really getting out there. So I came and joined you, right? So thank you for that. And our ribbon cutting at the Los Nietos Park playground. My grandson had a great time, and so did I. And I want to thank everybody that had a part in it. Our staff did a wonderful job, and the grass is beautiful, the playground is beautiful, and you all are beautiful. It was a great time. The Penny Carnival, we had a great time yesterday, and I've never seen so many people, and we sure nailed it on that one because there was just no parking. It was just filled with our wonderful constituents, and we just had a great time there. So thank you for that to our staff and everybody that participated. I wanted to ask Yvette too, if you could look into the Bartley Alley. We had our residents yesterday asking about when we're going to move forward on that. If you could just get back to me. I want to thank our veterans at the Penny Carnival that, thank you for your service. We had a lot of our veterans there participating in our events. Thank you so much. I wanted to give my condolences to Bishop Collins, to all his friends, to all his family, to thank you to all our legislators that were on the news yesterday, paying their condolences as well. And I heard he was just an advocate to help our brothers and sisters out there, people that are addicted, people that with depression, people, they just everywhere. And I just want to give my condolences to he and his family and his friends and everybody that knew him. And that's with that said, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Rounds.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, it was said earlier about being involved in your city, and I want to thank all of the community members, our neighboring community members that come out and join us, our staff, our amazing people that are here tonight. You're the ones that help make this city a great city. You're the ones that are here. You're part of it. You want to know what's going on, and this is the place to find out about it. I want to congratulate again the young lady sitting in front of me on 97 years young. Congratulations on that. What a milestone. I also attended the Valentine's dance at the neighborhood center. I couldn't believe it. Here, I walk in about 9:15 in the morning, not at night, 9:15 in the morning, the double doors open and I was blown away by the music. And when I walked in to see everybody dancing, there wasn't room on the dance floor, but the seniors know how to get down and party, that's for sure. President's Day Carnival, again, it was a great, I showed up a little late. I was doing some stuff around the house, but it was still packed. And Monticello had mentioned about a pig. I actually took a picture with the pig. I was amazed. I guess it's a community pig. The pig's around the park all the time. And then was outside, I understand that it didn't want to leave, but the owner was, and I could hear the poor pig squealing, but it didn't want to move. It enjoyed all the company there. But anyway, that was a great thing. The playground at Los Nietos Park, the grandkids have gone over there and they totally enjoy it. And it's, from what I understand, there's more to come. That's not going to be the only one. So I'm looking forward to that. Youth Leadership Committee, people wonder what our youth do. They're our future. They were here tonight and it looks like our future is very bright. And I want to thank Manuel Cantu and Wayne Bergeron. I know they're both gone for spearheading that, but a special thanks. And I know John Prohoff was here for a while, but this wasn't the first, second, or third time. They sponsor this program every year. They go up there and, Servwell Disposal is a great company and they love to give back to the community that they work in. Congrats to our newly promoted employees and our new employee. And I wanted to say something when she was up here. This is, your initial photo, first year here with Santa Fe Springs, and 30 years from now, you can come up and take your final photo. But let's see. And I mean, it's amazing. You heard 6 department heads give their reports. This is why I've never left the city. It's an amazing city to be in. So thank you for what you do and the great programs for all the residents. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Councilmembers Moore.
Councilmember Rounds and Rodriguez pretty much said it all. So, I mean, I just want to say, when you hear all these things that they're bringing up and even our staff, I mean, just God is amazing and he's doing an amazing thing here in the city of Santa Fe Springs. And you know what? I mean, just thanking the staff, you guys put your heartfelt effort every time you guys go out there. And, just want to say that I appreciate all that you do in the city of Santa Fe Springs. Our military forces, without them, our nation wouldn't be what it is today. So, we always ask that God always, put them in their hearts, provide that hedge of protection around them because we have young men and women who are serving out there in our military. And you know what? It's hard. It's hard, while we're enjoying all these things happening in the city of Santa Fe Springs, they're out there, sleepless nights. And, a lot of them are going to come back not the same. So, we just always need to always think about them and pray for them. Our firefighters and our police officers, thank you for your service. Just tell the guys and girls, and thank you. And feliz cumpleaños. Gracias. Es un gran honor que viniste. 97. Nos has enseñado algo, un orgullo grande de parte de la ciudad. So, otra vez, feliz cumpleaños. Also, I just wanted to say to the Bencourt family, my heart goes out to them. And, may God just give you peace of mind during this difficult time. They just lost a loved one. So with that being said, may God bless the city of Santa Fe Springs always.
Mayor
My
Pro
turn?
Tem? Yes, your turn.
Well, everybody's already said everything. I did want to ask Yvette if you can look into about in September, August or September, we asked for a traffic study to be done on Whiteland and Pioneer for a stop sign, and maybe we can get some information on what that study concluded and at the next council meeting. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I attended just like everybody, the new park, the Penny Carnival. The city's doing a lot of great things right now, and it really feels like we're all coming together. Thank the staff, the aquatic center. We're really putting our input and putting our best foot forward to really make the city move forward and not stay stale. And I appreciate the comments from the two local neighboring city residents that if you guys are not happy there, you guys can always come on over here. It's only a hop, skip, jumping away, guys. You know, we'd love to have you. But it's really great to see us all moving forward. And I think it shows by the leadership, you know, when everybody's on the same page, there's nothing we can't accomplish. And I thank all of you guys for the hard work and dedication you guys do day in and day out to make this community the best at what it is. Also, I want to, you know, really thank Tom. You know, the 2 weeks you've been here, Tom, it's been amazing to see the leadership skills that you've provided, and it really shows with staff, because I think you've really created a great morale and a great aura of happiness around us. And I really thank you, because we've been missing that for a while, I think. So I thank you for your service, and hopefully when we do replace you, it's with somebody that's, you know, has the same vision that you do and really makes us shine the way you do right now. So I thank you for that, sir. So, and that's it. And have a safe weekend, and good night, everyone.
Yeah, it's hard when you're the last one, everything's already been said. Echo, Tom, the last 2 weeks have you been here? It's been amazing. Are you sure you don't want to get out of retirement and come back? Please? No, it shows the morale, everything. It shows so much the leadership that you've brought, and thank you so much. Again, our city's back to what it used to be. Thank you so much. Staff, residents, thank you for being here. I love the positivity in the room. I love smiles. I love the proclamations. It's great. This is what Santa Fe Springs is about. With the pool, great. I don't know why we have a consultant paying so much when our residents are putting in all the input and stuff. I think they're doing it on their own, and it's great. I wasn't able to go to the Penny Carnival. I was working, but I heard great things. The park, the grand opening of the park, I can't wait till all the other parks look like that. So hopefully we'll get started and do something. Regarding the POW flag, it's actually it's already in the work. Talked to Maribel. In fact, last week I just talked to Maribel about it, and we're actually getting it to put up the POW flag. And on that note, I would like to adjourn the meeting in memory of a mother, a grandmother, and the matriarch of the Bencourt family, Debbie Bencourt. Meeting's adjourned.